Wow, everywhere we're hearing about AI. So, brief introduction of myself. I'm Yianni Touliatos. I work for Microsoft. I've been in the tech industry for 30 years. That ages me, I know. In the last, been with Microsoft in the last 7.5 years in various roles, both technical and commercial roles. So I have a unique view of seeing how businesses around the world are embracing these technologies. But essentially, in the last 2 years, we've been seeing, a lot of exposure to AI. And sometimes I speak with people and they confuse the different types of AI. We're hearing more about generative AI, and so I thought it would be good to talk to you all about that. But before we go into that, I wanted to put together this illustration to trace, the lineage of innovation that's leading us to this new era of AI at its core. So, artificial intelligence is drawing on the cumulative legacy of decades of technology. Each device, each breakthrough as a stepping stone towards this moment. And it's representative of how AI works, pulling data from across the globe and using it to generate new outcomes. So now, as we're embracing the transformative power of generative AI, we need to acknowledge that it has a tremendous potential to redefine creativity and discovery. In my 30 years or so in the technology space, I've seen the introduction of dumb mobile phones in the early 1990s, and in 1993 saw the first web browser and the World Wide Web, and before that the personal computer, and how each of these moments and these technological milestones had their inflection points, and we had challenges as well that needed to be addressed. Then was the introduction of the smartphone with the Apple iPhone in the early 2000s, 2005 or 2006, and of course cloud computing. And that's really where cloud computing and the hyperscalers took and invested a lot in infrastructure as a service and cloud computing. That led and paved the way to allowing for generative AI, etc., to flourish. Before we go and talk about generative and these technologies, because I don't know the level of exposure and expertise in the audience, I want to have everyone on the same page. So I want to talk a little bit using analogies about how we can look at generative AI as a sculptor working with clay. So imagine a skilled sculptor that's using different types of clay. And the clay is representing different sets of data, like text, images, music, and so forth. Now, the sculptor, in this analogy, is representing the AI algorithm, and they're selecting the appropriate clay for their project. So the clay, the data, the sculptor is the AI algorithm. They need to prepare. They need to do some preparation before embarking on creating their unique piece of art, right? So they need to study the types of clay that they're going to be using, and they're going to be then shaping and molding that clay. That's essentially AI. Basically training the large language models, and then once, as you can see in the image here, the sculptor is refining after he's shaped to the initial shape. He or she is working on refinement, and that's the fine tuning of the large language models. And as a result, then the sculptor comes up with the final artwork, which comes up with a unique creation of something interesting. And then over time, the sculptor will continuously improve. And that's similar to generative AI. And these large language models and how they're being trained and then fine-tuned and so forth. So I hope that gave a little bit of a different flavor of how generative AI can be seen. So let's move on. And so here, I'd like to think about have you imagined a world where AI not only assists in creating your favorite movies, art, and music, but also drives the creative process, and etc. In the last year and a half, I've been experimenting with generative AI and the different tools, not just the ones offered by the company I work for, and it's really, really profound, some of the things that can be done. And I'm not a creative type. My two sons are, but I'm not. But we have some amazing places to go, and I wanted to touch upon a few areas around movies, TV shows, etc., and then I'll touch into art, music, and so forth, and how generative AI is affecting us, all of us. So with AI, with movies, there are some. This is just a sampling of some TV shows and movies that are leveraging generative AI in their process. So the TV show Mrs. Davis is leveraging generative AI for script writing assistance, and these are from 2023 and until the present day. The script writers were leveraging generative AI to brainstorm on and refine the dialogue, etc., and engage in the creation of their storylines. The next one is a movie called The Creator. Mouse came out, I think, in 2023. And they used generative AI for visual effects and CGI to create environments and characters to enhance the visual storytelling experience. The Marvel Secret Invasion, they used generative AI for this series to help them with their title sequence, so generating unique visuals that matched the show's themes, and that's something that they leveraged instead of or in addition to the traditional VFX technologies. Another example is The Peripheral, which was used. So generative AI was used for world building and scene generation. So a lot of different uses and use cases for generative AI. Now moving into art and design, and where generative AI comes in, this is super interesting. My two sons, they are both artists. My older son is an animator, digital animator. He's just getting started. And my younger son, he's 16. He's an illustrator, and also looking into acting and filmmaking. And looking at the work that they both do, and me not being an artist myself, I can see that the human will always be needed in the creative arts. Absolutely. However, that being said, for us non-creative types, it gives us a leg up. I've been able to come up, like I asked with a prompt. This image was created by generative AI, DALL-E 3, and I could not have even imagined putting something like this together myself. I would have had to ask my sons to draw something. It would take quite some time. So there's a lot of interest here. But what I want to highlight is that generative AI and art is not new. Back in 2018 and 2019, artists were already experimenting with generative AI and general adversarial networks. So one case was Edmond de Bellamy. This was in 2018, where AI-generated portrait was sold at an auction house for $430 some odd thousand. Hard to believe, I know, but I was like, wow. Sophia, the robot that has, I think, citizenship also in Saudi Arabia, I'm not sure where else, with the artist Bonaceto. She and Bonaceto put together a piece of art based on her neural networks and Bonaceto's influence, and that sold for a whopping $680,000+. Faceless portraits in 2019. This was or memories of memories of passersby. Sorry, in 2019, that was using multiple generative adversarial networks. This was also sold for I think $35,000, and then faceless portraits as well was using the ACAN algorithm, also fetched some $35,000. So as you can see, this is nothing new, and I think we're going to see a lot more in this space. Although I want to highlight that there's needs to be a lot of discussion around the ethical and responsible challenges with art in and using generative AI, especially around how have these models been trained. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Other area that I see interest and challenges are AI in music. I could share a brief story. A good friend of mine, someone who used to work for me, he's very much into writing and poetry, etc. here in Athens, Greece, where I'm based. And about a week ago, he shared with me an album that he made using the help of generative AI. So he wrote the lyrics. All of the lyrics were his own, but he used these generative AI tools to add in the music and the person actually singing. and I was blown away by what he created. So he was using the creative part of himself, but using the AI as an assistant, if you will, as a co-pilot or an assistant to help him. Again, there's use in also, we've been using AI in music recommendation systems like in Spotify and Apple Music and so forth. So quite a lot have been used of AI, not generative AI, where it's creating new content, but AI has been around for a very long time. Then there's AI generated writing, and with the advent, when the introduction of ChatGPT about 2 years ago or so, the public and the masses really started to understand some of the possibilities, and that now has since gone much further than just text, but we're seeing even news outlets are generating a lot of AI-generated articles. This also introduces some risks and challenges, especially around hallucinations and how to manage that. But we're seeing that a lot more frequently, and we will continue to see more of that. Several books have been written entirely by AI models with the help of some creative prompting, etc. And this has started to affect marketplaces like Amazon, where you have the ability to self-publish Kindle books, ebooks, etc. And they've put in limits or policies to limit no more than 3 self-published ebooks a day per person. So who would have thought? But really, really interesting. With that, though, with this journey where we're innovating, it's important, really, really important, that we move with intention and care. The power that these generative AI tools bring with it means we have to be responsible to watch over their impacts very closely. And that's the companies, that's us as individuals, and governments as well. We need to understand beyond just the opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities with these technologies. We need to understand and understand where is the data coming from, how biased is it, mitigate those biases in training. We need to be sure that the data is handled responsibly. What about copyrights? For music, some of these music generators, what were they trained on? How are they creating this music? And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of legal battles. There already are along the way, but we need to be super vigilant. We need to be accountable, and the other thing that I think is important to address here is people's fears about job displacement. I think we're a long ways off from job displacement. I think there will always be the need for the human in the loop, but I will caution you that those that do not know and learn how to use these tools, those are the people that will potentially be displaced. So use the tools as an assistant where it makes sense, as a way to do more with less. Unfortunately, we're expected to do a lot more with less. Talking about the future, it's not what it used to be, and I want to caution you all to know that we're at an inflection point where things are changing very, very fast. Just the other day, Meta announced Llama 3.1. OpenAI announced Search GPT Search. It's hard for one person, let alone a group of people, to keep abreast of all these rapid changes. Mistral also came out with a new model, and that was very, I just found out about it literally minutes ago. So try to be flexible. Know that you will not be able to know it all. Also, remember that we're in very early stages. There's a lot going to happen, a lot of changes. There's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, and there's going to be the trough of disillusionment as well. So I'd like to give you my view, and this is not my company's view, not Microsoft's view. This is my view, Yianni's view of the near future, looking into my crystal ball. I see there's a few areas, some trends. So content generation, we'll see a lot more content generation happening, as I alluded to before, around the media outlets, etc. I fear as well that it's going to be difficult for us as a society of humans to understand what's real and what's not real, especially with all the multimodality of these models being able to create images, to create audio, the deep fakes, and etc. So we're going down a path where we may not believe anything, and we have to be proven, right, that it's authentic. So that's a direction that I unfortunately see is approaching. There are tools and mitigations for that, and provenance and watermarking and other kinds of tools to identify to identify if audio is generated by an AI or an image is generated by AI, etc. That's going to continue to evolve. The other area I think we will see is multimedia and virtual environments. So I alluded to it a little bit in the entertainment industry. I think we're going to see more generative AI models being much more active in creating environments, worlds, world generation, and things like this. I also expect to see many more AI virtual assistants in our pockets. Like I've been using Pi as an experiment in Inflection AI, having a conversation just to understand. I mean, I encourage each of you, try to have a conversation, a regular conversation with one of these models, and it will really open your eyes as to what they cannot do and what they can do, right? Etc. They're only going to get more better and better. The other area that I think is coming is small language models. So that's they're going to be used for more domain-specific knowledge, etc. They're a lot less resource constrained, like Phi 3 from Microsoft, and there's other ones as well. They can be used in applications and have really, really good performance. etc. But it depends on the use case. They could be used like in customer support or content moderation or personalized recommendations. Those are the types of use cases. The other area that I think of is inter-AI communications. So multi-agentic systems. So think of an orchestrator, think of that's calling on multiple agents that are semi-autonomous or autonomous. That's what I see in the near term. And my encouragement for you is don't be afraid to play around and experiment. Have fun with it. Be open, be adaptable, right? Know that this is the beginning, and be vocal about things that don't work well, or if you see or feel or hear that things are biased or etc. And remember that AI, generative AI, is not the end-all be-all. It's not to be used in every use case. It's etc. And there is hallucination, right? So with that, I want to thank you. Keep innovating. Stay connected. My LinkedIn profile you can scan. I'm looking forward to the exciting future we have ahead of us. And I thank you for inviting me to present here at SlavConf. And thanks again, and feel free to reach out.